Finding yourself high on a mountain above the clouds is the holy grail for hill walkers, and to experience a temperature inversion is a magical experience. In this video I'm going to look at what I look for and how I give myself the best chances of experiencing a temperature inversion. And will I get one on this trip or will I not? Fog bows, broken spectres, they're all magical. Anyway, cut to me at the start of the day on a forestry track in a damp surrounding. Welcome to deepest, darkest Scotland, and I'm going to be talking about one of the natural phenomenons that hikers, hill walkers, photographers, climbers all search for, and hopefully I'm going to tell you some of my tips of how to get and experience the rarely experienced phenomenon of an inversion. I'm hoping for an inversion probably tomorrow, and this is perfect conditions for it. But let me just spin you around and tell you what I'm going to do in the short term. So it is raining a wee bit, so I actually stopped a little while back and got my waterproofs on, but there's a lot of climbing to do and I'm already sweating, so I'm actually getting wetter from the inside than I am from this light drizzle. So I'm going to take the waterproofs off for just now. No doubt I have to put them on further up, but I'm soaking. So let me tell you a wee bit about inversions whilst I'm heading along the easy part. The forestry track's going to be nice, but I've got gaiters on today because I'm going to be going off track. There'll be quite a lot of off-path walking, but anyway, back to inversions. So what is an inversion? Well, usually when you go up the hills, as you gain height, the temperature drops, and the general rule-ish of thumb is you'll lose maybe 1 degree centigrade for about 150 metres. Now that all depends on how dry or how moist the area is, but that's a kind of general rule of thumb. Hence why I always say it might be nice down in the glen, but it can be like winter on the tops. However, when an inversion happens, surprise, surprise, the inverse is true. So usually it's colder in the bottom of the glen, and when you get to the top, it gets warmer, and that's the temperature inversion. And there's different types. Usually they occur at high pressure and still air, anticyclonic weather. If it's low pressure, the cold air doesn't tend to sink, and usually it's a layer of warm air on the tops which pins the cold air down underneath the inversion. And that leads us to a number of different types of inversion. You can get radiation, fog, which can be caused by the dew point being higher than the air temperature. So the air temperature has to drop below the temperature of the dew point for mist and fog to occur. You can get that quite a lot in winter when it's cold and high pressure and you see frosty ground which has cooled the air. But the inversion they're nice inversions, but the inversion that as a hill walker that I'm looking for, and today, is inversion where lots of cloud is trapped beneath the warm air and is trapped down underneath the summits. And it can be really hard to predict at what level that inversion is, hoping that it's going to be below the height of the Munro I'm going up. So I'm going high, and I'll come on to that in a wee while, and I'll maybe talk about what apps I use, how I usually predict or try and predict them, probably when I've got the tent up, because for the time being I need to find my way up the hillside with no path, and then the summit I'm going up, it's a really steep final 300 metres. I have to be really careful, especially because I'm by myself and I've got a big pack on, so I'll bring you back in a wee while. Oh, it's very boggy because I've come straight up the glen. I was going to do a kind of horseshoe circular, but I noticed the clouds were scudding by quite quickly, so I'm staying down here to stay out the wind, but the downside of that is it's very, very wet underfoot. Anyway, I can see the hill behind me. Well, I can't actually see the hill behind me that I'm hoping to camp up on top of. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be in the cloud today, but the main chance for the inversion conditions was for tomorrow, but it's actually quite breezy, which isn't ideal. As I said, you want to have pretty still weather most of the time if you want to get above the inversion. But let me show you what I'm looking at, or what I'm not looking at, as the case may be. In the cloud, hopefully you can see over my shoulder, is the summit, and I think it's about 1,050 metres high, and it's called Crebain. And I'm going to head up to the Bealach to the left, and then it's a really steep pool up that way. I could head up to the right, but I'm going to come back down that way. So I'll go up the steep way just to show you. If you want to see a video of the horseshoe, I've done it, I think it was 2 years ago or last year I did it. It's a fantastic horseshoe. I'll put that in the description below. But yeah, let's go up here. Let's see how windy it is. I'm not sure if I'll get any shelter up there to get the tent up, because it does look a bit windy. Maybe my inversion predictions aren't aren't that great, but let's see. There's time.
To be honest with you, at this point, I wasn't too confident that I was going to get above the clouds, because yeah, the weather was looking pretty manky and the ground underfoot was, well, pretty damp. All I could really do was trudge on and try and get to the top.
I'm nearly at the Bealach, and the steepest part is just ahead of me, but I need to be really careful of that. But another wee tip of the day is always check your route and check where the last water source is, especially if you're summit camping like I am today. And on the map, this stream actually fizzles out about 200 or 300 metres according to the map down there, but I've just followed it up and I've come to the highest point where I think if I go any further it's going to fizzle out completely. So I am going to fill up here. The reason being, leaving it to the last minute, the reason being it adds weight to your pack. So it's just the last 200 metres, which is going to be the hardest. I'm going to have a heavier backpack with, but I'd rather have enough water for the camp, for coffee and all that sort of stuff. So let's fill up and I'll report back in a wee while. Oh, right, filled up with water. What time is it? Oof. It's probably about half an hour, just under half an hour until sunset. So I'm thinking I've got enough time to get up to the top. Oh God, I don't know, but the mist's in like it looks like it is. It might get dark quickly. So I'm a bit concerned. I've got my head torch and everything, so if I do have to find a pitch in the dark, then so be it. But I'd rather not. It's just taking a wee bit longer, I think, just because of the boggy ground. Let's get up here. This is the steep part, so I just need to be careful going up here, and I'll report back when I'm on the summit of Crebain. Let's go. Good news, I found the path. Hurrah, first path since the forestry track, so that might help speed up my progress, although it's blooming steep going up here. Woo-wee!
Many of the guides don't really mention this side of the mountain too much, so most people do come up the other side, and as a result there's not much of a path. In places there is, but it does come and go. But I tell you what, it is blooming steep. You're going over 200 metres of ascent and probably about the same distance on the ground. So yeah, maybe one just to be wary of in the wet, or if it's icy or snowy. Ice axe and crampons would definitely be required. Anyway, after a steep and breathless ascent, I eventually made it to the top of the mountain, which is Crebain. And when I popped out on the top, I was exposed to the wind. The rain was driving in against my face, and it was really quite unpleasant. You can't really tell how unpleasant it was from this footage. So I scouted around for a wee while trying to find a suitable pitch, but ended up coming back to this sort of semi-sheltered spot just under the summit, which had a line of crags protecting it slightly from the wind and the rain.
Oh. Right, hopefully it's not too foggy because it's wet. I got up here, haven't done many bits to camera. I was just dead keen to get the tent up and out of the rain. It was chucking it down with rain and I got a bit wet, and the wind's a lot higher, or it's windier than forecast. I've got a signal up here and I've checked the forecast. It has changed slightly. Less chance of inversion because the high pressure, the centre of which is to the south and east of us, was meant to be moving towards us. So it would almost be overhead by tomorrow and overnight, but it's not moving as quickly. So we're still kind of on the fringes. So the isobars are a bit tighter, hence why it's a wee bit windy, as you can probably tell. So I'm just glad to be out of the elements, got the tent up. I'm right at the summit. It was pretty miserable, the light was fading fast, so I just got the nearest spot. I'm on a bit of a slope, it's not ideal, but you know what, I'm dry, I've had something to eat, I've had some food. So I'll probably just, chill out. I'm going to have some whiskey. I've got some Ben Rioch. So that'll be my whiskey tonight, but I'm not going to do many more bits of camera till the morning, where I'll talk a bit more about the apps that I use to try and predict inversions. I'm not feeling that confident I'm going to get an inversion tomorrow now, but anyway, I'm just going to sign out for today and I'll see you tomorrow morning. Right, time for some whiskey. Good morning, it is 6:47. Sunrise is at, it's about 45 minutes, so there's actually some light. I've not looked outside yet, but last night, oh my god, it was windy. It was really windy, which wasn't what I was hoping for, especially if I was wanting an inversion. But I've woken up and it's dead calm, so that could be good news. Shall we have a look out inside and see if it's the inside of a Scottish cloud or whether the gamble has paid off? Let's have a look and see. Right. That's, oh wow. Yes. There we go, look at that. That is what we were after. A sea of clouds as far as the eye can see. Oh yes, right. I'm gonna get up. Wow. That is amazing, look at that. Oh, what a view. Look at that, yes. Right, let's put a smile on my face. Let's get up and enjoy the views, get some photographs, and I'll talk a wee bit more about inversions and what I do to predict them, because it's actually it's worked. It's worked. I was getting a bit worried that this video was going to be null and void because my prediction wouldn't have come true, but that looks like, yeah, the mother of all inversions, the cloud below me. Lovely. Right, I'll bring you back in a while. Let's get up and take some pictures. Wow, this is what it's all about, isn't it? The inversion. And it's not just the radiation fog, it's that thick layer of cloud that's been trapped under this layer of warmer air that I'm in at the moment, which I was talking about yesterday. But wow. And to the south of me is the lowlands, really. We're in the Central Highlands, and there's no peaks really pointing or rising above the inversion, apart from Ben Vorlich and Stuka Croin over to my left. But yeah, if I go around this way, I'll show you what I can see this way. All the higher peaks are poking out. This is almost a perfect inversion, and I'll come on to explain why in just a minute. Back on at the summit, I tell you, it wasn't like this when I came and touched this last night. I don't know if I didn't really do much videoing because it was wild, it was blowing a hoolie and that rain was driving in, but this has made it all worthwhile. It's absolutely beautiful. And this is Stibinian and Ben More that you can see in the camera. It never comes out as nice as I've said before on the camera as it does to the eye. It's absolutely glorious. You see the skies turning pink behind me. And then over this way you can see the band of Venus coming, and the solitary mountain that you can see there is Ben Louis, standing proud. There's one away beyond it as well. It's just glorious. And I was going to say this is a perfect inversion for me, almost just because of what I was saying before. It's that thick layer of cloud trapped beneath the warm air and the cold air down there, and it's just the highest peaks. It must be sitting at about 850, 900 metres, the inversion, and it could well rise. That's another wee tip for you, especially during the summer. And I'll come on to what months are best to see an inversion later on, but sometimes as the sun comes up and starts to heat the land up, the cloud can rise. So this might be, I might be in cloud in half an hour or whenever, so I'm going to make the most of it. I'm going to take some pictures, and if the pictures have come out any good, I'll put them up now. I will report back and tell you about the apps I use and a bit more about how I forecast when I think an inversion is going to happen and the intricacies of that in a wee while. But for now, I'm just going to enjoy it and take some photographs and have some coffee. Fabulous. Oh, I can just see the sun starting to peak over the horizon. I'm going to go and watch this. Wow, what a sight. Wow. What a view, what a view. This makes it all worthwhile. It really does. Just people, not you guys that are watching it, but some people who don't go hill walking or have no interest in the outdoors just wonder what the hell I'm doing when I go to the top of a mountain. To have a sleepless night in a tent being rattled by the wind and the rain hitting it. But those mornings where you wake up and it's like this, it's not very often. 1 in 10, 1 in 20. Makes it all worthwhile. This is what it's all about. Watching the sunrise over a sea of clouds. What a place. Wow, right. I can actually see the clouds actually rising a little bit as the sun's come out, because some of the peaks that were emerging above the cloud are now submerged by the clouds. So this might not last very long. I'm going to take it in as best I can. What a place.
As I mentioned, sometimes as the day progresses and the temperatures rise, the cloud level can sometimes rise as well. So I was taking it all in, but I'm glad to report back that that didn't happen on this occasion and I stayed above the inversion.
Okay. Got my water on to boil for my coffee. I've been up for about 2.5 hours, but it's just been so spectacular. I was trying to get as many pictures and footage as you're probably seeing now of the inversion, and it is one of the best things about photography and coming out in the mountains and hill walking. In my experience, in my opinion, nothing beats an inversion. So I was going to talk a wee bit about how I kind of thought there'd be an inversion today. I was 50-50 yesterday. I wasn't sure if it was going to happen or not, but those winds did drop. It was far too windy last night. So the first thing you're looking for is a forecast of settled weather, probably anticyclonic, high pressure weather. I'm going to have a seat down here actually, it's better. And yeah, usually better in the autumn or winter, because in the summer the ground doesn't get to cool as quickly to create these conditions. So that's one thing. So even just your usual sort of BBC forecast, look out for that. Oh, it's a bit wet down here, I think I might stand up again. And the other apps that I use, there's one called Clear Outside, which is good. That'll tell you levels of cloud, whether there's fog, low cloud, medium level cloud or high cloud. I don't think it does it for summits, but it does it for areas round about, like I had clear in Larach. But it also tells you what temperature the dew point is and the temperature, the air temperature. So that'll give you a good idea if there's going to be any mist or radiation or ground inversions happening. I also use MWIS. MWIS is quite good at telling you if there's going to be an inversion. They're quite good at telling you that, but usually only when they're pretty nailed on for it. The other apps that I use is the Met Office app. I use the Met Office app and the specific summit forecast apps, which are quite good as well. So that's the apps that I use. I would say that I do look at the BBC one quite a lot, and just the actual broadcast, because especially the night before, because they're quite accurate. The further out it goes, the less accurate they become. So yeah, I'm gonna have my coffee and I'll bring you back and I'll talk a wee bit more about places you can go and how to maximise your chances of enjoying this. So coffee time, I'll bring you back in a wee while. Oh, nearly ready. So back up on the summit of Crebain, and this is one of the higher, well, one of the high-ish mountains in the area. There's another Munro over there called Ben Chillican, and of course Ben More and Stibinian are higher, but yeah, I just fancied camping out in this way. But the reason I'm telling you that is one of the things that I try and do if I'm trying to catch an inversion is I try and go as high as possible. Had I been on some of the lower peaks, as I said, it's only the higher sort of Munros that are out. If I was on a Corbett or anything lower, I'd be under the cloud and I could probably be tantalisingly close and looking up and seeing the blue sky. That happened to me, it's happened to me a few times actually, but the most memorable time recently was brocken in Skye. After I did the Skye Trail, it was literally about 20 metres above me, the inversion. But yeah, it can happen, so you can get as high as you can to make sure you're above it, because it's very hard for the weather forecasters to predict at what level the top of the cloud will be at. Sometimes if it's been around for a few days, they'll get an idea, and places like MWIS will suggest, top of the clouds about 900 metres, like it is today. Another thing you can do is to maximise getting above the clouds. Is sometimes areas, this kind of inversion is the best, where it's complete coverage, shall I say, in all directions. It's just one big sea of cloud. But a lot of the time with inversions, it can just be one side of the mountain, and if there's big areas of water, like Loch Tay for instance, or Loch Catrin. Loch Tay with Ben Lors is a good one, because you often get the mist and the fog forming above the water more readily than above land. So that increases your chances of seeing it. Or Loch Catrin in the Trossachs. I've had camps on Ben Ann when there's been an inversion below me and the fog has formed above the lochs and formed or out to the west coast. Again, a recent one was when I did Leagach. What an amazing camp spot that was, but there was an inversion out to sea and it didn't come that far in, it was just on one side. So yeah, if you can find somewhere with a body of water, that's quite important, because of course it's a temperature inversion. Now, I used to always call it a cloud inversion, and sometimes still do. Who cares? You know what we're talking about. I get annoyed when people go, actually, it's not a cloud inversion, it's called a temperature inversion. So you don't know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about a cloud inversion. Get over yourself. Anyway, cloud inversion, temperature inversion, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, there's different types, as I said. You get ground inversions, and you can get inversions. This is where the temperature and the cloud thing might come in handy. But you can get temperature inversions, and it's high pressure, and there's no cloud at all, which is always a bit disappointing because you don't get these lovely views. So, anyway, finish my coffee, and then I'm going to tell you how I managed to level out my tent and make it comfy, because it was quite comfy last night, even though I was on quite a slope.
A few other things you can do to maximise your chances of experiencing an inversion is early starts, so you're up nice and early, or camp out like I did. Also, check out webcams to see what they're showing, because that can always be a good way to check it. And also check on Facebook groups, Twitter groups, all these sorts of things. All good ways of finding out if inversions are happening.
Oh, it's so nice. It's really pleasantly warm. Feels like summer, but it's November. But again, that's the inversion. It usually gets colder as you get higher. But anyway, let me just explain what I was thinking of doing. I was thinking of going back down this way, mainly because the ridge is still out of the cloud, but you know what, the cloud's actually lifting higher, and this slope down here is really, really steep. What the hell was that? Don't know if you heard that. That was birds. Because I saw them going over there. I've never seen anything like that. It's like something like Lord of the Rings. I don't know if the camera caught that. What the hell? It was just like a sound of wind. And I looked round and I saw this flock of birds going away down that way. Anyway, weird. I wonder if it caught that. Anyway, where was that? Yeah, so I don't think I'm going to go down that way because it's so steep and slippy. And the cloud's rising. I just know because the ridge I'll be going down the other way isn't the cloud. I've just met somebody that's come up there. So I was going to go down that way, so I was out of the cloud up there, but as I said, it's going up. Let's just talk a wee bit. That was really weird. Anyway, it was like that thing in Lord of the Rings, the evil birds, the eye of Sauron. Let me tell you about my pitch. Look at the tent, right? It's real. I don't know if you can make it out. It's on a slope. If I still got the lights up there, it's at an angle. When I came up last night, it was, you really can't tell how of an angle that is. Anyway, when I came up last night, because it was just so wet and windy, the wind was coming in from this direction, and this bit here was kind of sheltered because of these rocks here. It turned out to be quite sheltered and it was quite good, but the tent was on a slope. So what I do when that's the case, I'll put everything in, but all my clothes, I even put my boots because there was a big dip underneath the sleeping bag to level it out. So I put all my clothes, spare clothes, underneath the sleeping pad to make it level. And you know what, it worked really well. So another wee tip for you. There, right, I'm a bit spooked by that flock of birds. That was weird. Anyway, let's go. Let's get packed up. I've got to go and visit somebody in hospital, so I need to get back down for that. I could stay here all day though, but I'm not going to do that. Let's go.
It was wonderfully warm and calm, and I really didn't want to leave, but I had to get back down, so I packed up my stuff and started to descend. As you can probably see, I'm coming down the steep way. The reason being, it was just there was about 7 or 8 people coming up the other way, and I thought, it's just going to be so busy. And if the weather's like this, why not make advantage of it and stay in the sun as long as possible? So I'm going to be heading down over that ridge in the middle of the picture there. Say bye-bye to that view. I'll bring you back when I'm down at the Bealach down yonder. Well, that's me down safely. Thankfully it's a bit of a steep, yeah, you can see from there, it's pretty steep coming down there, so not for the faint of heart. But I'm at the Bealach, so a way to drop into the mist. I might get my fog bow or glories or brocken in a minute. Let's see once we descend into the cloud here. If not here, then maybe when we're over on Stop Garav. Lovely, look at this, oh there we are. There's my, I don't know if you can see it behind me, my brocken and my glories. Let's see if I can get a better position. Oh, just down here, but yeah, lovely. And a wee fog bow. Hopefully you can see that. Whoa, almost a complete circle. I don't know if it's picking it up. Let me see. Oh yeah, almost. Let's see if I can get a picture of it. Isn't that wonderful? Oh, and the temperature difference is just unbelievable. It's come right down now. Right, onwards we go. Let's get up and over and back into the sunshine as quickly as possible. So fog bows, glories and brockens can all be a sign that you're reaching the top of the cloud bank and inversion when you're heading uphill. I was doing the opposite and going down here, but they really are magical. And this time of year the sun's relatively low, so you're basically casting your shadow onto the mist, and that's what causes the fog bow and the brocken and the glories. If it's later in the year, get yourself up onto a ridge where you can have the sun behind you and it's casting your shadow down on the clouds. That gives you the best chance of seeing them. But what a place, and it was almost a fully spherical fog halo as opposed to a bow. Brilliant. I'm not far away from summit number 2 of the day. She's just up behind me, up there. It's called Stob Garav, and it's, I think it's a Munro top. Not 100% sure. But anyway, we'll get up there and have a wee seat, hopefully, before descending back down. But glad I came this way. Look at that, wow. That's me on the top of Stob Garav. I don't know the height, 900, maybe, I want to say 926 metres. I can't remember. And I've come over, you can see there's somebody right on the top of Crebain. It's a steep drop, as I said. It was just going to be really busy, and I had second thoughts about staying up out of the cloud, and I am out of the cloud, as you can see, and it's just lovely. Good views over to Benmore and Stubinian. Had I gone back that way, you can see the ridge where you descend goes straight into the clouds, so I wouldn't have been enjoying the sunshine for quite so long. But I am descending now, so descending down there back into the clag, and then it'll be time to get the navigation and the GPS out to try and find the track. I'll have to cut through some plantations. I've done this before, so I know what I'm up for. So let's head back down and see if I can get back to the car. There's maybe a wee bit still to do, so I'll maybe film on the wee GoPro and take some pictures down here. If I've got any pictures, I'll put them up as well just now. Fantastic. Right, down we go. So that's me back down under the cloud now. Pathless descent off a steep hillside, but it was actually alright. And this bit of felled forest, there's a wee track going through it now. Well, track caused by the big machinery, but there was also an old landslide which had taken out the fence. There is a gate up there, I can see that I could have crossed that, but I just crossed at the landslip, which made things a bit easier. So yeah, what a fantastic inversion. I think I should be calling this video Keep the Faith after yesterday, but yeah, one of the best. And yeah, let me know if you've heard a noise. Like, it was almost like a freight train coming in with that flock of birds. I've never ever experienced anything like that. But anyway, hopefully this has been useful to you. Hopefully you can get out and enjoy some inversions, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful experience. But for now, I'm going to end the video here. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you next week for another adventure. Right, almost onto the main track. Oh, let's go.